everyone. Welcome to the regular exclusive podcast with Jace and Renee. We talk about movies, TV shows, way too much. And this week it's been a lot of stuff going on this week. Halloween Ends came out, and boy, I'm sure we have a lot to say about that we'll talk about in a little while. But then also we've had some trailers for exciting stuff coming out. And also I feel like there's been like 8 season finales of shows this week.
Oh God, yeah, I know. I've cried like 100 times already just from watching one of them. So just intense finales all around, I think.
And then did you say that House of the Dragon also finale this week?
No, they're like this is episode 9 tonight. So that
Oh,
means that next week's finale and tonight somebody's probably gonna die because that's the Game of Thrones way. Every episode 9, we'll see.
yeah, there we go.
But yeah, intense week. I've had a lot of emotions.
I'm behind on almost all of those shows, but
You need to catch up, dude. It's been like nerd heaven right now with House of the Dragon and Rings of Power. I'm loving it.
you're there. Just life is good.
Oh yeah, my nerdy tendencies are really paying off. Catching little things, I'm like, oh shit, like a bunch of my things that I've been predicting have turned out to be correct.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you mentioned was She-Hulk. And should we talk about She-Hulk now, or should we do the trailers first?
Let's talk about She-Hulk now that you mention it.
Okay.
I need to know what your terrible opinions about this are.
I don't have, I mean, I'm sure you'll think they're terrible. So this is a funny kind of show for me. I didn't really feel anything for it for the first 6 episodes. It was kind of similar to Obi-Wan, where I just didn't think anything was happening. I was just like,
That was the point. It's low stakes show. It's all about Jen and her small problems. It's not about like,
no,
and that's what you always say you want from Marvel.
I agree. I also want you to not interrupt me when I'm trying to talk.
I'm sorry. I got defensive for She-Hulk. Go ahead. I She-Hulked out.
Yeah, we should have had you go first.
No, go ahead. I want to hear this. I'll mute myself.
No, it just didn't really seem like the story was going anywhere. And I get that it's a legal comedy, but like I don't know, it just wasn't really working for me. I love the main actress. What's her name again?
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah, she's great.
She's amazing.
I really enjoyed her. I just kind of felt bad for her because I just felt like the writing wasn't very good.
Really? I thought it was perfect. It was
Okay.
incredible writing for me, but this show has been pretty divisive, so I get
Yeah.
it. Like it's not for everybody, but for me it's like this has been hitting all the right notes. Like I've been enjoying the writing and the comedy and all that.
And I'll just say real quick, I am not triggered by the men are assholes thing. Like I'm not one of those guys.
Literally, that's everything that people have been criticizing the show for the whole time, though. So,
Yeah.
like, the fact that they knew that that was going to be the thing and then they, like, wrote it into the show is, like, just perfection. It's like they're very meta, which is probably why I like it because I'm a big fan of things that are, like, aware of what, you know what I mean? They're just,
Yeah,
like, they're meta.
they're trolling trolls.
Yes, but also
Yeah.
it's like Scream. Like the characters were like the first ones to be like, yeah, no, we've seen a bunch of horror movies. We know the stupid shit that everybody does, and we're gonna make fun of it and talk about it. So it's kind of like a little bit of that, and the fact that she also breaks the fourth wall and talks to the camera a lot, I very much enjoy.
I do enjoy the fourth wall break. It's fun.
Yeah, I think that the supporting cast on this show has been pretty great as well compared to like some of the other ones. I just feel like especially the like her coworkers, I love them. I think they're really funny and I just think in general it's had like a lot of supporting characters that like get a chance to shine. I also I think it has the best cameo ever with Madison. I want a Wongers and Madison show. Right the fuck now. I'm obsessed. I'm kind of pissed we didn't see her in the finale. I wanted to know what she was up to.
Madison is with 2 N's, 1 Y, but it's not where you think.
But I just fell in love with her. I was obsessed with her, and the fact that like she kept calling him Wongers. I'm like, I love Wongers.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, it's a show that like while I didn't love it, I did appreciate that it was so different than everything else. Like I appreciate breaking the formula kind of or trying to as I would put it, but I will say that the last 3 episodes I really liked.
Yeah. They ended strongly, which is pretty incredible for some of the Marvel shows out there. I feel like that's where they struggle.
Yeah.
And at first I was kind of worried about that mid finale, and then that whole thing with the
Spoiler
sorry
alert.
guys.
If you haven't watched it yet, just look at the timestamps and skip to the next things we talk about.
Yeah,
But
sorry. I'll say spoiler alert here, but it was cool when
yeah,
at the end of the episode it
the
goes
Kevin bot.
extremely meta with the Kevin Kevin AI that
Yeah,
controls MCU.
that was great. That whole finale was really good. It was totally unexpected. Like I
Yes.
liked the fourth wall break, but when she like literally breaks the fourth wall and like she jumps through the Disney Plus menu, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is funny.
It's
I like this.
incredible. I thought it was really fun. I'm also obsessed with her and Daredevil. I thought they had wonderful chemistry. He was great to see in a really funny, like lighthearted tone. And that scene of him like doing the walk of shame with the devil costume on
That's
is
pretty
just so
funny.
good. I was like, this is my new favorite thing that Daredevil has ever done. I'm obsessed with him. And the hallway scene, they gave us one.
Yeah, it definitely made me feel better about the show that they're gonna do upcoming because, like, you know me, like the Netflix Daredevil is my
Hmm.
favorite thing that favorite Marvel property ever made,
Naturally, it's great.
and so yeah, like they did a good job with it. The suit looks kind of weird, but
I kind of like it.
it's homage to the original suit, and he's gonna get his other suit back, but it looks like the Netflix Daredevil suit, so that's good.
And they use some of the music, right?
Yeah, when you first see him, they cue it up and you hear it. I heard it, I'm like, yes. Also, Charlie Cox is so good in any courtroom scene.
He's so
Like
incredible.
that was one of the things with the show that I didn't like is that they called it like a legal drama, but there's not really that much like legal stuff that happens. So having that one courtroom scene, I'm like, yes,
It was
I
like
love.
legal hijinks kind of shit.
That's a good description. That's a good description. Yeah, legal hijinks. Daredevil was really the reason that I pushed through to finish the show. Because, like I said, I didn't really enjoy it up until episode 6, which is the retreat episode. And I actually thought that
So
episode was
fun.
really funny. and, and, yeah, it was really, it ended really strong. And I thought the CGI was a lot better in those last couple
I
episodes.
do love though. They're like we're gonna have to cut that out because the CGI guys that they're working on the next project, and then you hear like the Black Panther drums, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's funny because that one's coming out next. They're probably busting their asses to get it done in time.
Well, and then there's that line that she had at the end there is pretty iconic. The Hulk smashes buildings, She Hulk smashes the fourth wall. Sometimes Matt Murdock.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. She's so charming, and I just thought she was really funny, and like
Yeah.
it was my second favorite behind WandaVision until like the last few episodes. I think really made it better than that, in my opinion,
Hmm.
and just like even more meta and like weird and just out there. Like that's why I think I liked WandaVision the most is because it was so bizarre and like what the fuck is happening? It was just so different than all the other MCU shows have been pretty similar. These two I feel like are standouts as like totally different stuff,
Hmm.
and they like are just very interesting to me, and they're also both female led shows. So I was here
Hmm.
for it. I thought She-Hulk was just incredible. I'm excited for season 2.
Yeah, I think if I stopped watching, I probably wouldn't be excited for season 2, but those last 3 episodes were really strong. It's kind of the opposite of WandaVision. WandaVision was really
So
great
good.
up until the end,
Yep.
and this was kind of the opposite where it was like seemed like they were trying to find their footing and it wasn't sure, but then yeah, the ending seemed really strong.
I think that's why it just cemented as my favorite now of like the shows, just because it ended on such a strong note, and like I just feel like the rest of them haven't really done that.
I really hope that they keep, at least on some level, the romance between Matt Murdock
Me
and
too.
She-Hulk because their chemistry was great, and I
Incredible.
loved when they had the drink together after the trial, and she looks at the camera, she's like, "You're feeling this, right?
Yeah. Like,
I'm not the only one. You're feeling this, right?" Like,
yeah.
they had great chemistry. Also, She-Hulk is like the first thing I feel like Disney has ever done where like they acknowledge sex.
Sex, yep, uh-huh, 100%. I mean, Eternals, there's technically a sex scene, but it's
Oh yeah,
like
that's right.
5 seconds long, and you don't see anything but, like, naked shoulders and arms in the sand or whatever. It's, like, just not anything. There's nothing.
Well, then in that one like clip or that fake like college clip of her wild now. It's like she's just whale tailing it. It's like, all right, Disney.
That was a good throwback. I haven't heard Whale Tail in a while. The thong. Well, and then so did you also watch the other Marvel thing that I told you about, Werewolf by Night?
Oh, yes, I did.
What did
I'm
you
I'm a
think?
little late to the party, but I loved it.
Wasn't it great?
It was so fun. So another spoiler warning. Look at the timestamp again.
Yeah, sorry guys, we're spoiling everything Marvel. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night was super fun. And so I think She-Hulk with the whole like acknowledging sex and the Werewolf by Night acknowledging actual violence, like people fighting people and killing people.
And showing it on screen, like not just like, oh, you can show them being stabbed from the front, but you can't show the knife coming out the back. That was like a rule for a long time. And now it's
Yeah,
like, no, this show, I was like, wow,
yeah,
that's incredible. I go, come on, Marvel. That's what we want. People like, have you not watched The Boys? People are okay with that.
yeah. But I mean, I'm feeling better about Daredevil show and Blade. Like my biggest fear is that Blade is going to be PG-13.
I don't think they would. And same with Deadpool. Did you hear?
Well, I
Did
think
you
they
hear that thing?
confirmed. Yeah, I saw Wolverine,
Yeah,
which
fuck yeah.
I don't know if I'm excited for it.
Oh, are you kidding? I love them. Just the fact that those two guys are like best friends. It's gonna be a good movie.
Like I'm excited for this circumstance because they're best friends, but like I'm just tired of like this whole we use another character to promote another character's movie thing. Like
I mean, you don't. That's the thing, though, is like maybe if it was like his first movie, but it's like it's Deadpool's third movie. Like it's okay. I think
I
we're all
know,
right.
but
We're
it
all
just
gonna show up no matter what for Deadpool, and the fact that they're bringing back Hugh Jackman is just like, oh god, yeah. Plus, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard something along the lines of like the X-Men cast or people who are from Fox as X-Men, their contracts are good until the 2023 or something.
yeah, so they have to wait. Yeah.
That's why they're using him now and then doing X-Men later. So maybe it's like, well, we got one last shot at Hugh if he wants to
Yeah.
do it. And he's like, fuck it. All right. For Ryan Reynolds, I imagine that like that'll be great. But I know what you're saying.
I heard a theory or something that somebody wishes they would do, and I agree with this. The idea would be that Hugh Jackman is in the Deadpool movie as Hugh Jackman, but Deadpool thinks that he is Wolverine, and so the whole movie it's just him as Hugh Jackman, and he's like, "Come on, man, do the Wolverine thing," and he's like, I'm not Wolverine. I play Wolverine." Like, that would be so funny.
I would be into that, dude. I like it. I do agree with you though overall. Like I just feel like I don't want Marvel to become doing too much of what they've already been doing. So like things like Werewolf by Night and She-Hulk are like encouraging for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, and Blade 2, it's like I'm excited for that. Even like I'm okay with them delaying it to make sure it's done well and done
yeah,
right because Mahershala Ali is the reason that it got stopped in the
yeah.
first place because he said the script wasn't good enough. That guy's won 2 Oscars. Let's listen to him. We'll let him get final approval and make sure this shit's up to par because I think he's gonna be great.
He's gonna be so good.
I mean, the original Blade movies, I never saw them until I think a couple years ago. And I was just like,
Oh,
I mean, that opening in the nightclub with the blood and
yeah,
oh, it's so fucking good. That shit is bomb. I mean, I think there's only 3 of them, right?
yeah.
Okay,
And
so I've seen them all.
the third one is meh, but the third one is where Ryan Reynolds created Deadpool. He's not Deadpool, but like that's where he started creating that
I
character.
honestly thought he was for like 90% of the movie, and then I was like, "Oh, he's not Deadpool." Oh, okay, because I
Yeah,
just watched this a couple years ago, so I assumed that this
yeah,
was like Deadpool, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, but he was in another movie as Deadpool with Wolverine, right?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah," which is
yeah.
still maybe my favorite part of is it Deadpool 2 when he goes and like kills himself in that?
From the Wolverine one. That's great.
So good.
So back to Werewolf by Night. Yeah, it was great. It was so different, so unique. It was a lot of fun. I didn't realize that Man Thing was in it.
I know. I had no idea who even Man Thing was, honestly. So apologies.
He's Marvel's Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I figured it out at first. I mean, just by seeing his face, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but I loved what was his name? They would call
Ted.
him by his name, Ted. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I loved that so much.
I had one question that I wanted to ask you. Is there any indication of like like the time period for this.
I have no idea.
There that was the one thing I'm like, there's a lot of like conflicting stuff. There's like everything looks old except the woman who looks like Kristen Ritter is
Doesn't she
dressed.
look exactly like Jessica Jones? She's even dressed the same.
Yeah. She's like dressed very modern, whereas everyone else is dressed like, they're in Transylvania.
Like they're in a Universal Studios old black and white movie, which is the thing too. I think the black and white makes me feel like it's like from the 30s, but I have actually no idea.
Yeah. Well, then there's electricity, obviously, but then they have the shock sticks.
Mm-hmm.
But then the last thing that I was really just confused by is that at the very end of the movie, he's like, "You hungry? Feeling sushi?" I'm like, "Sushi is just readily available."
Yeah, it can't have been too early, but yeah, that's a good question. I feel like it was maybe done that way on purpose
I
because
feel like it has to.
it has to be that kind of style in order to like, I think it really fit with the theme to make it like
Yeah.
old school. But then I'm assuming this won't just be a one off because people have really enjoyed it. I hope Morbius never shows up, but that's it. Bring along Werewolf by Night. I thought he was wonderful.
I feel like there's got to be a Disney Plus origin show on those two characters, Jack and Ted. How
I
did
would
Ted
watch it.
become the man thing? How
Yeah.
did he become a werewolf?
Should we now talk about the trailers?
Yeah, let's get in the trailers because we got 2 trailers that we want to talk about, and man, do they look amazing.
Yes. So let's start with Megan.
Megan.
We have to start with Megan because wow. And the fact that they're not marketing this movie as like the team that brought you Malignant, because I feel like it's all over the trailer, you could tell, but like it's literally the same writer, Akilah Cooper, who wrote Malignant, or maybe she wrote it with James Wan, but him and her also did the story. Then it's produced by him, so it's gonna be a little different, but she's gonna give Gabriel a run for his money, I think.
Oh yeah. And for anyone who hasn't watched it, search it, but instead of an E, it's a 3.
Is it? I just searched Megan.
Okay. I think the official title is Megan with a 3.
It's basically about a woman who's like, it's the chick Allison Williams from Get Out and Girls, which immediately, because of those 2 roles, I'm like, I don't trust this bitch anytime. Her niece, it looks like, comes to live with her after her parents die, and she has been working on this invention of an AI doll that's like a life-size child named Megan. And it looks so fucking bizarre. And there is an actress that plays her, it looks like, and then also a different one does the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. She looks weird. You can tell there's like some CGI on her, but like also like it looks unsettling.
It's real Chucky vibes, like
Yes.
a toy that becomes a problem, but like it's taken to the max because
The max.
when she starts dancing in the trailer, it is creepy as fuck. Like her straight face, but then like
doing like TikTok dance shit.
I'm just like, oh my god. But yeah, the part when she starts like running on all 4s, chasing the kid through it, I'm like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, this is giving me like the wacky, weird like vibes that Gabriel sometimes threw off. Like as unsettling as the part where she's dancing is, I laughed out loud. I was like, oh my God. And now I have to see this movie. Like that, I think including that part in the trailer was genius because that was like, all right, this could have been stupid, but I'm here for it. You know what I mean? The dancing sold me.
I'm so hyped for this movie.
It looks incredible.
The other trailer we watched was Violent Night,
starring David Harbour.
David Harbour is Santa Claus. This movie is Santa Claus in Die Hard.
Yes.
He goes into a house to deliver presents, and the house is being robbed by these people, and they try to kill him. And so then he is like, "You're all on my naughty list," and he just annihilates them.
He stabs somebody up the chin with a fucking candy cane.
Yeah.
And it's so good. And he has the great like seasons beatings and like just really good catchphrases. But I think my ultimate favorite part of the trailer is when he does his man bun.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God, fucking David Harbour making Santa hella sexy. And then he's walking around with like an axe over his shoulder. And I was just getting huge Jason Momoa vibes with the man bun and the axe. I'm so into this movie. It's like they were like, basically Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Why not just make like an actual Christmas movie that's Die Hard? Because it happens on Christmas, but it's still not a Christmas movie. I don't care what anyone has to argue about that. It is not a Christmas movie. It occurs on Christmas, but that is incidental to the plot.
I 100% agree with you. It's going to be so good, and it's being produced by the right people. Like Nobody is one of my favorite action movies in the last couple of years.
I haven't seen that one. Is that
It's
Jason
so
Statham?
no, that's it's the guy from Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's so good because he's not a guy that you would expect to be in a
Bob
John Wick.
Odenkirk.
Yeah, in a John Wick kind of action movie, and he's so good in it. Like I put Nobody on par with the first John Wick. Like they are so good action movies, but Nobody doesn't have all the weird extended assassin network thing. It's very realistic and it's so good. So like knowing that some of those people are involved in this, I'm like, yes, this is gonna have great action. And David Harbour is fucking hilarious. So I'm very confident that all of the comedic beats are gonna hit. Like when
Oh,
he's on the
yeah.
roof and he's like, Prancer, did you shit? Very unprofessional.
He's just great. I love him all like in everything. I'm obsessed with David Harbour. He reminds me of my brother-in-law Andy so fucking much.
Oh
I swear they're
yeah,
twins. They even
totally.
talk the same. It's crazy.
I never thought about that, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I'm like Andy every year. I'm like, why are you not dressed as fucking Hopper from Stranger Things? It would be perfect. You literally could nail it. He'd be so good. But yeah, I love David Harbour. He's great. I also think it's fascinating and hilarious, this like obsession that older men have with starring in these action movies when they're past their prime. Like, no offense, they all look great.
Yeah.
Okay. Not saying anything. I see that, Stallone's in a new one. Do we need this? Are we this desperate to prove how much of a man you guys still
Yeah.
are? We get it. Okay. Bob Odenkirk, he just had a heart attack. He shouldn't be doing these action movies. Like, give the guy a rest. And like I want to blame Liam Neeson for all of this. I think it's his fault. I think he did this, and this is now. It's like this is the most unrealistic shit that these old men are trying to get, and it's like no wonder that like people have problems with aging. It's like this is what I'm supposed to be like in my 60s. I don't look anything like Stallone. I don't think I could do it. I don't have any special skills to go rescue my daughter if she gets kidnapped. Like
You might be right. Liam Neeson, it might be his fault. It's him or it's Stallone, because Stallone did the Expendable movies and he's like, hey, action guys, let's do team up action movies. Let's just keep this going.
I mean, yeah, but it's like I feel like Taken is when it really. I mean, pardon the pun, but I think that's when it took off because
Yeah.
I feel like that movie. I mean, not only are there like what 4, 5, 3. I don't know how many
I think there's
of those
3.
Taken movies, but too many. The one was enough. The fact that he's lived through it 3 times now is really like insane.
Well,
But
then every movie that Liam Neeson has done has just been taken with a slightly different plot.
yeah. Oh, now we're in the snow and there's wolves. It's like okay, that's not anything. Nobody asked for this. Again, just go take. I want a movie where he just is in bed the whole time, like Misery. Remake Misery with Liam Neeson. Just let him relax. He needs a fucking break, I'm sure.
Oh gosh, that's great.
Yeah. Well,
All right. Well, let's take a quick break. Yeah. Let's take a quick break and get into Halloween Ends.
tonight.
Let's get into Halloween Ends.
Okay, cool. Because I'm sorry. I'm gonna jump in immediately and say I have to know before we go any further because this movie is incredibly divisive.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I don't know if it's that easy.
I just need to know up front.
Okay.
Overall.
As one whole movie, I didn't like it. But I think this is 2 different movies smashed together. I like one of the movies. I don't like the other one. And the one I don't like takes up more time of the movie. And that's why I ultimately don't think I like this movie.
Do you think differently of it if you compare it to like as the end of a trilogy? Is that what you were going to say? Because you said like just on its own, I don't like it because it feels like it's disjointed. But overall, as the trilogy, how does it make you feel as the ending?
I think the last 30 minutes of the movie are really good. I think it's a really good ending.
Me too.
It's really the first hour and a half.
Oh, that's like my favorite part. I had to know because I was like, this movie is wild from the get-go, but I'm having a fucking blast. And I'm so excited to get into it, but I was like, we'll get there. You can do the
I'm
overview. I just had to know because I was
I'm
so into it.
I'm
I love
excited.
this movie.
I'm excited to talk with you about it because there's a lot of fun things that I think we can talk about. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff in this movie that I'm like, this is an interesting choice. But
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that a lot, but I was like, this is a wild decision, but I respect a lot of the things that were going on here.
yeah.
And I was like, this over delivered for me. I'm gonna say I had pretty low expectations, and I loved Halloween Kills, as we all know. So
Yes.
the fact that this one really rose above my expectations, like within minute 5, I was already like, this is gonna be fun.
Oh, I was also hyped after the first 5 minutes, and I think
Yeah,
that's why I got I didn't like it because it let me down after that. But we'll get into that. So
yeah. Do your overview.
quick overview. So Halloween Ends. It's the final movie in the David Gordon Green. Who's the other guy that's involved?
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. That
Who's
guy.
that other guy?
Yeah, just
Just Danny fucking McBride, but continue.
That's what I thought, nerd.
in their trilogy of Halloween starting in 2018 to now. So the IMDb description of this is the saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode comes to a spine-chilling climax in this final installment of the trilogy. And the
Spine chilling, huh?
IMDb getting hard with their descriptions.
Gross. What's your description?
Oh, what's my
Yeah,
description?
unless you want to talk about the numbers, but I want to hear your description. It's going to be better.
I mean, my description really is I thought this was a Michael Myers movie.
I get it. I had that question as well, and I was like, "Oh, this is Mike Myers Jr.'s movie a little bit."
Yeah.
But then I feel like by the end of it, I was kind of like, "I'm on board. I don't care.
Yeah.
New Mike Myers, whatever." I know it's Michael, but I'm calling the junior guy Mike. He hasn't earned Michael yet.
Yeah. I guess he.
He
Spoiler
won't.
alert. He
Spoiler
does.
alert.
He doesn't get the
He does
title.
not in the end. However, it does parallel another movie that is also directed by John Carpenter that I'll bring up later, but maybe I'll change your mind by the end of the pod is all I'm saying.
Okay. Maybe us just having a good fun conversation will make me like it more.
I mean, I've watched it at least twice already.
I watched it
and
twice also. So I mean, it's opening weekend, so there's not really a lot of box office stuff for us to go over. I mean, its budget was 20 million. It seems like all of them, the budget was like 20 million. So far, it looks like it's at about 41 for the opening weekend. I'm sure streaming is going to affect those numbers because I bet a lot of people are just watching this at home. All right, so before we get into the movie, let me ask you: do you like this one more than Kills?
I think Kills is still going to be my favorite.
Do you like
But
this one more than 2018?
yes, a lot more. Both this and Kills, I think, are way better. I enjoyed the risks that were taken in the plots and like the different change ups, basically. The fact that it surprised me was pretty crazy because I did not think, I thought I had a pretty good idea going into this movie, especially based on all the trailers as to what it would be. And I was wrong. So they got me. And like I've said, when you can surprise me and do something totally wild and different, I'm gonna be here for it. I'm gonna support you.
I want to know if Jamie Lee Curtis got extra money to be the focal point of all the marketing of all these movies, even though she's in less than 30% of each movie.
Actually, what's interesting is the official screen times they just released of like how long she's in each movie. The original, she has 32 minutes. And in Halloween Ends is the third place with 29 minutes that she's in. So it's the most compared to Kills. She's only in it 10 minutes and 2018, 19 minutes. So it's the most of all these three, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh, she's only in the first two for less than 20 minutes.
19 minutes in 2018, and she's like, I feel like the star, but it just goes to show how much of like the fucking teenagers they threw in that movie.
Ugh,
And then
Fucking teenagers.
Kills, we know, is like 30% the mob. Like
Yeah.
they're the stars of that movie. And then they all die gloriously. And then we get 29 minutes of her, almost 30 minutes basically for the finale. So I felt like anyone complaining about her not being in it, it's like, yeah, but she was in it a lot more than the last two. So
That's wild. Anyway, okay, let's just get into this movie. So I'm gonna say right off the bat, the stuff that I didn't like in this movie or that didn't hit for me, it doesn't have anything to do with any of the performances. I actually think everyone in this movie is great. Like the new guy Corey, I thought he was really good. Like his character, his performance. I think it's just what they ended up doing with him. I thought was weird. But yeah. So the opening scene. So yeah, I was so hyped after that kid that falls down the stairs. I'm just like, oh my God, we're getting Halloween Kills level shit this whole movie.
yeah, basically this Corey guy, Corey Cunningham character is like, it's 2019 that they flash back to, which is
Which is
technically in
a
film
year.
sequence 1 year after the Halloween and
Mhm.
Halloween Kills. So he's babysitting this asshole kid who locks him up in the attic, and he's literally been trying to get out and kick down the door. The kid is right outside taunting him.
That kid's a piece of shit.
That kid deserved it, man. That kid had it coming. I was like, I literally laughed out loud. He kicks the door as the parents come home from their Halloween party. The door flies open. The doorknob smacks the kid in the face hilariously, and he flies over the banister. The house too is huge. It's like 3 different, like, fucking flights of stairs in this crazy circular thing. It's a mansion. And the kid falls down, hits the fucking ground, and then, like, bounces up and, like, his back, like his neck snaps, like everything. I mean, he dies hilariously. And I laughed so fucking hard. I kid you not. I was like, oh my God, this movie is incredible already. Like, what the fuck? Also, there was no Michael Myers. So I was like, what is happening? There was a
Yeah.
mention of him. You just have so many questions, I think, right off the bat, because you're just totally taken aback. And the fact that they surprised you in the first 5 minutes is great. Just incredible.
Yeah, and so then after the staircase scene, we get the catch up, the recap exposition of Laurie writing her novel. And just kind of like, hey, in case you didn't see the first 2 ones, here's everything that happens. It's a pretty solid recap.
And now she's like got real homemaker energy. She's like baking pies, not very well. And she's like obsessed with Halloween, which I was like, I did not see that coming. And the weird part about this whole thing, I feel like they really shifted her character between
Yeah.
movies. Because last movie, she was like, fuck it, I'm going to kill Michael. Her daughter died at the end of the last
Yep.
one. This one, it seems like maybe that hit her. So now she's like, because the thing is, she doesn't even know where Michael is. So it's not like before where she was all like panicked and like prepping for 40 years when she knew he was locked up. This is like, he could be anywhere. And she's like, I'm excited about Halloween again.
Yeah. Maybe it's her writing memoirs and working through all that. One thing that she said during her recap that annoyed me is she's like saying like he was in prison, and just as I predicted, 40 years later he escaped.
And then, as I predicted, 40 years later he escaped, and Haddonfield was once again forced to confront this man in a mask.
And I'm like, okay, you're one of those people that you're like, I've been saying this for 30 years that this is going to happen. And then it happens. And it's like, oh, I'm right. It's like, no, you've been wrong for 30 years. Okay. You don't get to be like, I'm a prophecy,
You're not, yeah. Even if you did call it, it's really not that hard to call. I could have told you that at some point. If you even attempt to transport this guy on Halloween, like transport him on Christmas. What's the fucking deal? But yeah, you're not that cool, even if you are calling that shit.
That was the one time in all of these movies, and I'm like, fuck off, Laurie.
You're not that cool, okay? It's like anybody could have guessed that if you heard that he was being transported on fucking Halloween.
So let's talk about Corey for a minute.
Yes, please.
I was digging Corey. I was
really.
I was into his character. He's like just kind of this awkward kid. He
Ugh.
he accidentally killed this kid, and then the whole town turned on him, and so he's just kind of this outcast. So I was into that character.
Sure.
But then they do the thing that just like I was dreading. They brought high schoolers back into the mix, And I thought it was really weird that Corey is getting bullied by these high school kids. Like,
that are in band, no less.
yeah.
Which I think I know. I'm like, I can just tell these people feel like stupid ass villains that would be on like a fucking like on Righteous Gemstones. Like he writes like dickholes like this that like are just like they're band geeks and they're bullying this kid who's like 4 years older than him. I just feel like he totally that's a Danny McBride thing. So I was like, I love this. Like the things that they say are just ridiculous.
Bring you a little milk.
Yeah.
I like milk too.
And like I get that Corey's sympathetic, but I'm shocked to hear you say that you really like responded to him, because the whole thing is like, the granddaughter, Laurie's granddaughter Allison, she meets him once and falls like
Oh,
head over heels in love with him. And the whole movie I'm sitting here going, what is it about this guy that anybody likes? He's very weird. He's very off-putting. The fact that he killed anybody, a kid, the kid had it coming. I'll give him that. But like when he tells her later that he killed someone, they have sex like right after that.
okay. Don't paint me in the wrong light. I said that I liked the character. I hated their love story for everything that you just said.
I mean, there's nothing about this guy that's attractive. Why is she
Yeah.
so into him off the bat? I think we're just establishing in this movie the whole trilogy with Allison. She has the worst taste in men. The other dude, the police guy that they say that she's been dating, he's like 40, first off,
Yeah.
and he's horrible. And I'm just like, what is this? You're really going with this guy who's like the pariah of town? You could date anybody, literally. She's so hot. What the fuck?
And not only the pariah of the town, the pariah that is also getting bullied by high schoolers. Like he's in his mid 20s, right? Like
Yeah.
this is a grown man. He's getting bullied by high school band kids.
We're seniors, okay? We've been practicing for a show the whole year, loading up for tonight's game, and we're in the fucking marshes, man.
Like this guy's 100% gonna be like Michael. But the thing about Michael is that he just was born this way, I think, is the deal. I mean, they never really explain it. He's like a 5-year-old or 6-year-old when he fucking just stabs his sister to death in the original, and that's why he's locked up for so long.
Yeah, and they kind of go back and forth between all three movies on like, is Michael Myers a person or is he
An entity?
Yeah, the incarnation of evil. I respected how they made sure that he's dead in this one.
Yeah, and so now I'll bring it up because I was waiting until we get to a topic adjacent to this, but since we're talking about Corey, and his name is Corey Cunningham, he's actually based on this character Arnie Cunningham, who is the lead character in Christine, which is a novel by Stephen King and also a movie by John Carpenter. And so they basically put a lot of that plot into this movie, which is pretty interesting because it's still like a John Carpenter thing. But basically that movie is like this weird, nerdy outcast kid, Arnie, but then he buys this car and he's like obsessed with it, and he like starts spending all of its time with him, and then he starts dressing and acting differently. He starts like dressing like a greaser kind of a thing, and like he acts really cool, and he starts dating the hot girl and like gets better, but he's also like he's using the car to like kill his bullies and shit. It's very much like the same vibes of this movie.
Yeah.
And there's even a couple like, I mean, he also works as a mechanic at the mechanic's yard, which like a lot of Christine takes place there because that's where he works on her and stuff like that. And then at the scene where the car's chasing the kids, that was very much like Christine, as well as at the end, the way that they deal with Christine is putting them into the like vehicle compactor thing, basically destroy it, supposedly. And then in this one, they do the same thing with Michael, with throwing him into the shredder, which they showed that thing a lot every time that they were at the mechanic's place. And I go, that's got to be something later. Someone's going in there.
I wish they had a scene, or maybe there's going to be a deleted scene of all of them talking. So how do we want to dispose of this body? Should we cremate him, burn him? Someone's like, I got a car compactor. Oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, if you asked me like what I thought was going to happen to Michael Myers by the end of this movie, I don't think I would have said that he would have been like strapped to the top of the car like a fucking Christmas tree and then driven down to the mechanic's auto place and thrown into the like vehicle shredder, the metal scrap or whatever the fuck that was. Definitely would not have ever in a million years come up with it. But I thought, That was pretty creative. I'm really glad.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's actually kind of poetic because that Corey guy, Mike Myers Jr., he spent a lot of time there. At first, I wasn't sure like how to feel about that whole storyline, but I think by the end, I was okay with it. I ended up coming around with it. I didn't like Corey and the romance thing.
It
I
was
just felt like
awful.
it didn't make sense. But I mean, Allison hasn't really made sense to me in any of these movies, so I just wasn't upset about it that it just continued her streak of not being interesting and dating awful people.
I think that's one of the reasons that I like this is that middle part that like I don't like because it's a bunch of the stuff from 2018 that I didn't like. Okay, I don't care about Allison or her relationships or high schoolers, and that's all of this.
Exactly. And a lot of people were saying it maybe would have been better if like they introduced Corey in the first movie and like had this stuff happening throughout and then like got rid of the other stupid boyfriend. Maybe it would have had instead of just doing it in one movie and introducing him all of a sudden because then
Maybe.
it would have been part of it. I mean, as anything to get rid of that old boyfriend from the first two. I can't
Yeah.
believe he lasted as long as he did. I was just happy that he died terribly, but it was funny that they also brought back the black woman who got the
Yeah.
fluorescent light tube through her throat. I was like, oh shit, she's still alive.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for her. I mean, good for her. I don't know. But I was like, holy shit. They've had a record. That's the second time they've brought someone back who died in the previous movie. Like, same with the
Yeah.
cop guy when they ran over his fucking head.
I was gonna say that his inclusion of this movie made me so mad because
Really?
he's not in it.
I loved their little scenes together. And after he barely survived the last one, what the fuck does he want to do? He's here to dispose of the body. He's bled enough for his country after this.
I know,
After
like
that second one.
him in the first him in 2018 was great. Him and his scenes with Laurie in the hospital and kills were great. And
Their scenes together in this were really sweet.
you mean their 1.5 scenes? Like
I still enjoyed it.
they were great, but I'm like, why did we bring you back to life in Kills just to not use you in this movie? He's such a good actor and good character. Use him.
But maybe he was just like, fuck it. After that. I mean, he literally says, I feel like I got a second life. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you did, because you pretty much got totally murdered, like obliterated beyond a shot of recovery at the end of the first one.
You got retconned. Your death got retconned pretty hard.
And he's like, I think it's just going to be safer for me if I just stay. Because, anybody who survives something like that, you're like, I'm definitely not going back. Like, there's no way I'm going to have that lucky shot twice.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I felt like at the very least he should have been involved in the final confrontation at the end because like his whole thing in the first two movies, he's like, I got to be the one to kill him. And they're just like, you don't.
It's really Laurie who does, I
Go
guess.
back to the grocery store.
Well, yeah.
Now I'm learning Japanese. Shatsu o Nakushita.
What does that mean?
Means I lost my shirt, I think. Or I lost my hat. I don't know.
I get that, they probably did the 4-year jump because of COVID and all that stuff. But yeah, it just feels so weird that this isn't like a direct sequel. Like they've kind of set it up, the story, to be like, hey, these 3 movies are all happening in the same night. And I mean, I think in that 4-year gap, they would have gotten together because that scene in the grocery store, like, that scene could have been a Viagra commercial with the sexual tension they had in there. Like,
I know, I'm telling you.
It was palpable.
I was ready for it. I texted you being like, are we going to get that sex scene that we talked about? Because that's what we were saying last episode. Like, these two better be fucking
like
in the next movie.
It should have ended with them killing Michael Myers and then fucking on top of his dead body.
Yep, that would have been a great ending, honestly. Life from death.
I was gonna ask you, there's a ongoing quote that Laurie has, and I don't understand it. She says, life or death, suicide or cherry blossoms.
He's the one who's talking about when they're at the grocery store. He's talking about how he is thinking like he got this new life back, his second chance at life.
Who knows? Maybe I'll fly over for the cherry blossoms. Test it out on the locals.
Or committing suicide?
Because he said, well, no, like that was what she was saying in that moment, that she was gonna like in that moment, after everything, she contemplated suicide and he was contemplating this chance at a new life a different way, right? So
Oh,
he's seeing it as a chance at life, and she was thinking of it like, this is fucked. I'm gonna kill myself. Like you know what I mean? It was like kind of like there's a couple different ways you could look at it. And that was
okay.
her choice, her inclination, and he was leaning more towards maybe we could go do that. But she clearly was like backing off when he said that and like wasn't ready yet. I
Gotcha.
think when Michael died, she's like, so what about those cherry blossoms? That's like what they say in their last conversation. I'm like, oh, maybe it's code for sex. I don't know. I hope so. But from my interpretation, it was a trip to Japan to admire the cherry blossoms because he said he's been looking at a lot of photos of them.
He wants to take a trip to the bedroom to admire her cherry blossoms.
Heyo.
Heyo.
That was good.
Okay, thank you for explaining that, because that line, the multiple times I said, I'm like, what is that? What does that mean?
It was like a small line in the grocery store in that scene that you're like, if you're watching at home, people might be like, I probably don't need to pause it. And then like they say cherry blossoms like 3 times later, and you're like, what is this? Is this? And it's like you just missed a throwaway line, but now you're gonna miss out on a lot of things.
It's just like they would just say it. I'm like, that's a pretty wide spectrum, like suicide or cherry blossom. Jeez, okay. All right, so Michael Myers. So the implication is that he has been in the sewers.
He's Pennywise now.
Yeah.
I think that's the vibe, is that he's been in. Well, they demolished his house. I imagine that they just had to do that because they were like,
Probably building some condos on there, you know.
I mean, whatever it is, it's gonna be fucked. You don't think he's gonna come back? Like maybe they're just not building anything. But he clearly has been living at this homeless encampment, basically in the sewers under the homeless encampment, or not in part of it, under a bridge, like a troll. And there's like that other old homeless man who's like been gatekeeping for him. I don't know. He's got this vibe of like, fuck it. If you don't bother me, I won't. I mean, Michael's just like, it's a little bit more social than we've ever seen him.
Yeah.
This guy has to know who he is. Crazy or not, this guy must recognize Michael fucking
Yeah, because
Myers.
when he tries to kill Corey, he's like, I'm Michael Myers. This is Michael Myers' like first friend.
Michael Myers, yeah. And then he has 2 friends in this movie. Now he has the kid, which is like just very bizarre because the kid like gets beaten up by the fucking band kids and left over there under the bridge. And then Michael drags his body in there to the sewers. And then when he wakes up, Michael's gone. And then Michael's hiding in a crack in between the walls.
Yeah.
Like a fucking freak. What is he doing in there? He's hiding, and then Michael grabs him and looks in his eyes. And I was going to ask you, does he read his mind? I can't tell.
Yeah, that was the weird thing, is like, I thought the other homeless guy, I thought he dragged him into the sewer.
Maybe he did. I don't remember.
'Cause
I thought it was Michael.
Oh, but like, yeah, like it's super weird how like he grabs him and looks at him. He's like, "You're cool."
But it's like they show the flashbacks of that kid's life and Michael's life, and I'm like, is it just evil recognizes evil, or is it like because the dad even says that like the dad of the kid that he killed on
Yeah.
accident later in the movie says that like he knows he was a good kid, he didn't mean it, but he just saw him recently, and the way that he looked at him, he knew he was like evil and he wasn't him. So it's like, did he catch evil?
Yeah, that's
Did
one of those
evil move
things.
on to him from Michael Myers?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, I liked the idea of Michael Myers not being a actual person, like it being a name that is given to whoever wears the mask.
Yes.
You know, and like it carries on. So like I was on board with that idea, even though like they didn't really like explain, like there was no understanding of like how this happened. You
And
know,
it doesn't matter in the end anyway. So
yeah,
I was like, okay. But I thought that was going to be the thing. Like, Michael's fucked up. This guy can take over.
yeah, like Michael kind of gets his ass kicked up until that moment. He's just like in the sewers drowning, and then he suddenly gets his powers back. It's like, what?
I think it's the mask. That's what I thought.
But he had the mask in the sewers. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I don't know. But yeah, this kid seemed to maybe like suck off part of his energy. Gross. But
in the sewer. There's a lot of
sewer.
sucking off in the sewer.
There's that. I sent you the link to it, but like everyone online has been talking about how that they cut from the scene where like the kid first like has his first like kill with working with Michael, which is like the girl's ex-boyfriend, who like, cool, we're good to see him go. But like right after that scene, it cuts to like this guy on his motorcycle, and there's like arms around his waist, and then the camera pans up, and it goes up, and like I even thought this, but like apparently everyone else did, was like, I swear to God, I thought Michael was gonna be riding on the back of the motorcycle, but it's like the girlfriend, obviously the girl, but I totally thought it was gonna be Michael because they were just having their first kill together, and I thought they bonded, whatever. Hey, Michael, let me give you a lift to town. We'll go kill some more people. Like, I wasn't sure where this was going, you know?
Oh
Like, they
man.
would have been a cute pair. I could have been rooting for him because I was not rooting for him and Allison. Like, that was just get rid of that. I don't think she needs a romance. Just get her out of the movie. That chick could have gone off to college so easily.
Yeah, she's totally a character of like, so why are you in these movies? Like, what do you
She's
actually
not
do?
Laurie.
Yeah,
She doesn't do anything. She helps Laurie at the very end, but I mean, Laurie's already slit Michael's throat and pinned him to the table. I think
I did like how she pinned him down. That was
that was great, and then used the frying pan to like hammer
yeah.
in the knife. I was like, "Fuck
Like
yeah,
cast
Laurie."
iron pans, they're heavy. They can do
I
that.
mean, Michael was just like pissed off at that point that he had to walk all the way from the sewer to get his mask, and then this kid's dead already. So he's like, and then this bitch's house, that's who I'm here. Well, I might as well just kill her while I'm at it. Like it was more of just like like fuck this bitch, you know. It's always an inconvenience. He kills people when they're inconveniencing him, usually by just breathing in the same area. But
One thing that was super weird to me is that right when Corey kills himself, or like before that, Laurie and Allison have this huge fight about the like you're the problem. You're stupid. So then Corey kills himself after Laurie tricks him and makes him think that she committed suicide. But she gave him cherry blossoms with bullets. And
yeah,
and so then he stabs himself and he dies, and the mask is right there next to him. And then Allison comes in and she's like, "Mom," even though the mask is right there. So it's like clearly Corey's a freak. He got the
I
mask
know.
and tried to kill your mom, and you're mad at your mom. Like
Her grandmother, but still, yeah.
it's not even
It's
staged like Laurie did this
I
thing.
mean, Laurie is doing that because she is like standing over him with her hand on the knife.
But
Like she's trying to grab it out of him, or she did just grab it out of him. So she's standing over him holding it, but he's dressed exactly like Michael Myers
and the
holding the
mask
mask.
is right there next to it. Like,
So even if he wasn't Michael Myers, he still played a prank on her and dressed as Michael Myers
yeah.
and deserved to die.
Yeah.
Personally, that's all I got to say about that. Fuck him.
This is where my head goes to the two movies thing again. I feel like they're like, hey, we're gonna set this guy up to be the next Michael Myers, and then at the end they're like, oh shit, I don't want to do 3 more movies of these. Okay, we got to kill him. Scrap that. We're killing him.
Yeah.
We're ending this with Michael Myers actually. But I will give Corey credit. He kills the most people in this movie. Michael
Yes,
Myers
he does.
kills one person, I think. But yeah, Corey has some pretty solid kills. Like we're counting the kid kill. Like that's a
That
kill.
was my favorite.
That's a
That's
kill.
number one. That's like a malignant kill.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
And like the kid doesn't fall over the stairs. He's launched. Like
So good. It's fucking hilarious. And I would say maybe it's a hot take to say a scene with a kid dying is hilarious, but it really is. Like this movie knows like it's fucking so funny. Same kind of humor. I feel like and I don't know if it was maybe just staged the same, but it just felt like it was a joke. Like it felt like it was very much like a slapstick kind of way that they did it. And maybe it was just the vibe I was getting, but I thought it was meant to be funny.
or like the car door shot in the head self-elimination in Halloween Kills. Funniest shit ever.
That's what I'm saying. That like I like that. Like you could tell that Danny McBride probably has some say in these kills because they die like they're still good. They're great kills, but like there's a level of humor to them that is just unmistakable.
Danny McBride's like, I get one unedited kill each movie. You don't get to change it.
That one was really great. I also love the radio DJ when he like fucks him up and then he like cuts off his like really comically oversized tongue that's hanging out of his mouth because his face is all fucked up. And then the tongue is on the radio or on the record that's spinning, and so it keeps like skipping. I loved that.
And then he gets revenge on the band bullies.
I was like, I wish I could have seen a little bit more of that because like some of those kills they weren't as satisfying.
Mhm.
Like I did like the chick trying to climb over the fence. Just run right or left, you dumb bitch. Don't run straight. You're not gonna outrun the car. Just
Just
go right or left.
you don't even have to turn. You can just veer. Like, but I thought the blowtorch kill was
I
pretty
loved that.
hardcore, and I thought it was good. I thought it was better that they didn't like show it directly. They showed it kind of off to the side, and they saw the girl watching it. I thought that was good.
And then she gets her head like stomped on. I was like, that was insane.
Every Halloween, there's a head that just explodes like a watermelon on Gallagher.
Like a pumpkin.
Yeah, like it's like in the first one, Michael Myers stomps the cop or the doctor. Yeah. And then in Kills, it's the guy who jumps out the window. He just hits the ground and explodes.
Yeah, that was hilarious too.
And yeah, and then the radio DJ kill, that was good.
But yeah, there wasn't a lot of killing for a long period of the
Yeah.
movie, and Michael only did one. So I feel like the movie was really marketing itself like a Michael Myers like kills kind of vibe where he's
Mhm.
killing a lot and doing his thing. But it was very much of like I almost was getting like Last Jedi kind of vibes with like an old grizzled like kind of cranky Michael Myers who's like
Living in his sewers.
he's living in the sewers, like out. No, he doesn't want anyone to find him, just like Luke in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And then he has to be a reluctant teacher to this new person who might have some really dark urges. I mean, it was perfect. I also was like, I don't think Michael's a good, I don't think he's a team kind of a guy.
Yeah.
I think Michael's a solo person.
I do like the idea of Michael Myers mentoring someone, but like not talking. He's just like pointing at stuff and just.
I mean, he literally is like, teach me how to do it. And it's like, I mean, he literally just stabbed the guy.
Yeah.
You held him down and I stabbed him. Like, that's all there is to it.
And then based off how you killed those people, I think you got it. I think you got a good handle on it. I think you know what you're doing.
I mean, dude, you tell me how you killed that kid. That was incredible.
Based off the trailer, I thought we were going to get an hour and a half long battle between Laurie and Michael Myers. And
Yeah.
that final scene of them fighting, I loved it. I thought that was so good. That was the way it was supposed to end. It doesn't make up for the rest of the movie, but like that's the right way to end it. And the fight was really good. It was really tense. Like when he was gonna shove her hand in the garbage disposal and stuff. I was like, all right, this is hardcore.
I saw that in the trailer and I was like, okay, how does she get out of that?
Yeah.
You're screwed. He's also an injured Michael Myers.
Mhm.
Like that kid just beats the shit out of him to take his mask earlier. So it's like, he's clearly not at the top of his game.
Mhm.
I'll allow him a little bit. He needed to be in this kind of a state in order for Laurie to win, I think.
It was great. And then, I was actually okay with her not chopping his head off. I was okay with her bleeding him out because, people have not tried that. And
Again, I think just to be safe.
I
we should
agree.
try
To
cutting
be
the head
safe,
off.
and they threw him in the metal shredder.
Again, but were we not worried he was going to wake back up between then and
Oh,
now? Because I was.
I definitely was.
You know what? Also, like thinking about it is like Michael Myers, excuse me. I'm doing it. Now you're infecting me with your
I'm the
bullshit.
evil.
You
Yeah,
are
baby.
the fucking evil. Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, evil never dies. That's the phrase. I did like that they didn't say that phrase once in this movie, I have to say. It was like, I think they learned that like, people were okay with that to a point, but they really beat that point to fucking death.
And literally no one from the mob was brought back.
That's because they all fucking died at the end of the last
That's
one.
true.
'cause
Oh
they
yeah,
brought
that's true.
2x4s and an iron. Of course they all died. I'm glad that they died. If any of them had been brought back, like Anthony Michael Hall, I would have been like, no, you caused enough problems in the first movie. You stop. Get out of here.
I will say that I did respect that they actually ended it. Like you and I kept saying, like Halloween ends allegedly. Like we'll see, but they actually killed him and they definitively threw him into a car shredder.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. I was ready for it. Like he was gonna just like. So the very end of Christine, when they do that, they like get it all into like the trash compact or the car compact or whatever. So it's like just a little tiny like square of metal, and they're all like, "Oh, I'm glad it's finally over." And it like zooms in on it, and then you see like it wiggle a tiny bit, and you're like, because she can like rebuild herself. Like when she gets like these bullies destroy the car, and then she like rebuilds herself and fixes herself. So I'm like, I was expecting, because Michael Myers is like immortal and can survive anything, like they might have a shot like that at the end. Because I was getting the Christine vibes before I even knew any of that stuff, and I was just ready for it because I thought they're gonna. I mean, they've said it before, like evil dies tonight. It never dies. After they set it up at the end of Kills, I thought there's no way they're gonna kill him in this movie because they just said he's like unkillable basically. So how are they, unless they end it where Michael Myers is like king of Haddonfield? I didn't think that they were going to be able to end it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I think I love, me, I love when people try to do different things with movies and take swings, and I think this movie, I think it just tried to take too many swings when it really kind of should have focused on just kind of concluding the
Yeah,
thing.
but I think maybe that's why I just really love this movie, is because like I was expecting it to be a lot worse than this and be pretty predictable. And the fact that it wasn't, and that it tried a lot of really interesting things. It didn't necessarily wrap up all of them, but like I don't think any of the movies in this trilogy have been perfect by any means. I mean, they're definitely well made. Like they look great. I think there's talented people putting them together, but I've never been like this movie's super cohesive.
Yeah.
And like everything's like very well put together and structured. Like I don't really care. I'm here for the fun of it and the wild shit that makes me go, I'm sorry, what?
It would have been interesting if they had done like a real shocking thing early on. Like imagine if those two just fell in love together, and they're Allison and Corey. Like what if there was a really shocking twist, more shocking than the bouncing child, of like them killing Michael Myers, like they cut his head off, and then
Cool.
they together essentially like are Michael Myers, and then they go around killing, and then Laurie has to fight him and her granddaughter.
You just wrote the movie I wish that I had seen now.
New trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been perfect because then Allison, she would have fucking had to die by the end.
Which
and
is
it would
what
have
we
been
all
perfect.
want.
That's all I wanted. This whole movie, I've been waiting for her. And she kept just making, like, it was like lines that she said. She was giving me, like, very much like Harry Styles, like at the Don't Worry Darling, like, premiere, when he was like, it's like a real movie. She was like, I was like, why did she like him? Her quote about him I wrote down was, I just saw a person.
But when I look at you, when I saw you the other day, I just saw a person just trying to figure it the fuck out.
And it's like, oh, wow, he's a person? Wow, you have the highest standards I've ever heard of. Are you kidding me? I mean, she literally was like, it's like when I heard about you killing that kid, it's like I was looking for you. And I'm like, what? You heard that he had murdered a child, and you're like, I think I have a destiny with that man. Like, what?
Well, yeah,
That was so weird.
and she's like, I feel like we have a connection, like, cause we both went through the same thing. And then even he's like, you survived something, I killed someone. That's not the same thing. Like,
not at all.
But then
like,
they still like,
yeah.
He's like, I killed someone. Let's emotionally bond.
I mean, that's the thing. He shows up because I just really need to talk to you. I'm so sorry about everything. I need to apologize. And then it's like they start walking, and then the first thing he says is, I killed someone. And then he just keeps walking, and she stops because like that was a rational response. Like, I'm sorry, what? I thought you were coming out to apologize for being a douchebag and ditching me. But no, he's like, I killed someone. And then 2 scenes later, I swear to God, they fuck. Like they go to the house of the kid that he kills, which he spends a lot of time weirdly at that house where he had murdered that child that he's supposedly, bothered by. I think maybe he secretly liked it.
Yeah,
I
it was
don't really know
intentional.
what they were going for. Yeah. He spends a lot of time in this abandoned house that still has the blood stains on the floor, which is pretty weird. But yeah, I just thought like it would have been cool if she had been in on it. I felt like that was where they were going, and maybe that's why I was like okay with it for longer, because I thought that's what was going to happen. And then I was like, oh no, she's just a fucking idiot. Of course, I should have fucking knew that.
Well, I think we all know what Allison would choose between suicide and cherry blossoms.
Hopefully suicide.
Thank Thank you for listening to the Regular Exclusive podcast. We hope that you had a great time hearing us talk about Halloween Ends, and it was something. It is a movie to talk about for sure. Me and Renee feel very differently about it, but we definitely had a lot to say about it regardless.
Yes, we did. I had a blast. I don't know about anybody else, but I think it was time well spent.
I think I had a better time talking with you about it than I did the movie itself.
Okay.
But that's the beauty of talking about movies when you see them.
That's true. That is true. And when we don't agree, it's always interesting and it's good. So.
Well, this next movie that we're going to do, Renee said I have to watch it. This was several months ago, and I did, and she was so right. It was so good, and we have been constantly surveying the internet to find out when it was coming to streaming.
Yes.
And it's finally here. Renee, tell us what we're watching next week.
Next week, we're going to be talking all about X.
We're watching porn.
We're watching a straight up porno, guys. No. The movie X came out 2022 from A24, directed by Ty West, starring Brittany Snow, Mia Goth, Kid Cudi,
Mr. Moonman,
Jenna Ortega, which I just love her, and if you like horror movies, I know you know her. Great movie. It's basically like a bunch of people making a porno out in Texas at this little farmhouse, and some shit goes wrong. It's like, it's got a Texas Chainsaw vibe, but it's a lot more fun and a lot more sexy, I would say.
It's a sexy Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, without the chainsaws, but a massacre regardless. But you'll have fun with it. It's for free right now. Sorry, excuse me. Jace hates it when I say for free, but it is available on Showtime if you pay for a premium account. Is that correct?
Yes. Nothing
technically free if you pay for it, but yeah, you're right. It's not free.
And if you don't have Showtime, this is definitely a movie worth buying. It's a great movie. It's not a fun bad movie. It's not a just good for kills movie. Like, this is a great movie.
Incredible movie. And if you didn't already know that there is a sequel that's currently in theaters, or sorry, a prequel that's currently in theaters right now, Pearl. And it will be soon followed by a third film in the trilogy, which will come out next year, called Maxine. So you're going to want to see this first movie, I think, before you move on to any of the others. And after this first one, you'll see why we're both super excited to see Pearl and eventually Maxine.
Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, do all the social media things. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. You know, all the places. We're there. You'll find us. And keep sending us recommendations. We have some fun stuff lined up for November. It's going to be interesting. And
Sad girl season is upon us.
Sad girl season.
My favorite.
But yeah, until next week, though, take care, and Regular Exclusive out.
Stay spooky.